think it's working. Just gotta wait for it to load on my screen. Okay, that should do it. Okay, I'm hoping this will be alright. It might not be though, I don't know. It might not record the whole screen, because, frick. Okay, this should fix it, I think. Settings. Dang it. Let's stop stream again. Alright, I think this should work a bit better. Hopefully. Not sure. Tells me it's offline, but I don't think it is. Where? Okay, there it is. I'm gonna turn down the mic. I don't know if it's quiet or not. I don't know if it's quite working or not, but I'll just see. Oh, dang it. Not sure if that'll work or not, but I can try. Yeah, I don't really know how this works. Dang it, where'd it go? I don't really do that just because it's like pretty weird. I'm gonna put the chat back where I got it. There's only so much I can really do with this. I really don't know. You can try and tell me if I'm doing something wrong with this, but I mean, I don't really know what I can do to help with the quality. I'm gonna like change some settings and see if that helps. Okay, I'm just gonna go with it, and even if it's bad, I'm just gonna go with it at this point because I'm lazy. I guess if you guys don't know what I'm doing, I'm just like gonna try and make hair because people in this Discord chat I'm in wanted me to show them how to make hair. So I'm gonna do a few different kinds or something. Trying to do a few kinds of hair or something here, just to kind of. Oh no, I'm tired. I don't know why I'm using purple, but we'll go with it. So recently, if nobody noticed, DeviantArt, or if you might have noticed, but I recently made a picture of Pony, Melanie Martinez Pony, and I had really nice hair because I did a lineless. I don't usually do lineless, it's not really my thing, but I liked how that one turned out. And right now, what I'm doing is adding a dark pinkish color over it, and then I'm making a clipping group and setting it to multiply. And I'm using this blending mode. It's not like blur where it just blurs it, like that. I'm using two screens at once. sometimes it'll like do that. But yeah, let me hide my messages. I'm basically using this softer blending here, or this more of a hard blending mode, and I'm blending the darker color based on what's the hair, like the movement of the hair. So I'm gonna curl this one a lot when I blend it into that. And after I finish doing that, I'm gonna change it to an opacity that I'm happy with. And let's pretend this, like the light source is coming from right here. So this is the light. Let's pretend like that's the light source for every single piece of hair that's here. And I like this opacity going on here, so we're just gonna stick with this one. Like, this is the picture I was talking about. This weird hair that I was doing. Yeah. I guess this could apply to most programs if you have them, but I did a certain thing with the hair and some programs might not have that option to do that, so I'll talk about that later when I start doing that. But anyways, then I take a different blending brush that blends, but it can also just regularly color too if that's what you want. And then I gradually add more hair to it. This time it's a textured brush, so adds a lot of nice textures to it. And I just add all the extra hair I could want. And then I add a very dark pink that's almost black. And I usually do this. And it's based on the shape of the hair. I'm going to do all these hair swatches, and I'm going to try and do them quickly, because otherwise it's not going to turn out very well. And then I take the same blending brush that I used before, and I blend those out based on the shape of the hair again. And for this, I'm using Clip Studio Paint, and you can get it both on Windows and Mac, and it's kind of pricey, but the trial is free, and it can last as long as you want. You're just very limited to what you can do in the program. You can't like save and copy and paste and things like that. I usually blend these out very intensely, and I add a multiply layer over top of it. And I make it so that there's hardly any opacity. And right now it doesn't look very good, but as you can imagine, we're just starting out with the hair, we're not even done, so yeah. Next, I'm gonna like reference off this hair for what I did, because I want to use this as much as I can. I usually keep it all on one layer after I add them, but yeah, you can do what you want. And then I take a very light pink or purple or blue, it depends on what kind of colors you're using for your hair, and then I make a smaller brush and I add the highlights to the hair. And you can add 1, 2, or 3, it depends on the length of the hair too, and in the Suds picture I only added 3 because the hair was not that long. And so I take this color and then I blend it with my blending brush. You can use the blur brush if you really want, but you can't really get the same kind of effect that I'm going for here. And once I blend that out, this is what I was talking about earlier, where some people might not have this in their program. It's the smudge tool, where you can smudge, and that's what I did for the other hair to give it some kind of like texture for the highlights. And then I just pick a blending layer mode that I'm happy with. I might go with Glow Dodge here. And it's close to luminosity or whatever you call it in Paint Tool size, so you could probably try and do this inside too if you have it. And then I turn that down to an opacity that I am happy with. And so far this is what we have. Next I take somewhat of a mid-tone dark pink, and I take some kind of normal brush and I start adding very thin lines based on the shape of the hair, and I add a few of those through the whole entire shape of hair. And then after I do that, I take the blending brush again and I just make it smaller, and once I go through the whole entire piece of stringy like color, I'll add a multiply layer over the multiply function, and I will blur all of them out. And there's going to be a few layers of this one, and so this might take a little bit of time. Lineless stuff's not really easy, and I don't really do it much just because of that. I have simple style for these. And so I add these darker ones to the picture. So far I'm not going to merge the highlights down because right now there's a darker color covering it up and it'll dull the shine, and I don't want that to happen. So right now we're not going to add that layer down below. I'm just blending out all the pieces, so bear with me for a minute here. And so sometimes I'm not too happy with this, so I'll make the brush smaller, and then I'll just go through and blend it a bit more. I'm doing like a back and forth motion for this curly, floofy hair here. And I do that until I'm happy with how the hair strands look. Then I bring that one below, and I put back the clipping layer. And so far, I think this looks good. I don't remember exactly how I did this as hair, but I remember quite a few steps I took to making that. And then after we move it below the highlights, we merge that one down with the layer below. And then after that part, we take a very light pink, almost white if you want, and you take the same brush that you used before and you add some light versions of what you just did. Now this probably won't be exactly how I did it in the suds picture, just because I had a sketch on top of that one, and so there was some different colors going on, and because there was two different colors, it looks a little bit different than this, but this is basically how I did it. And then for this one, I'm gonna take some layers and see which one I'm happy with. Once I find one that I'm happy with, I turn down that opacity and I blur these out again. Now don't worry, this is all part of the hair. You might not see these very well, but they definitely add some color to it. Usually when I'm drawing this, I make them a bit thicker than this, but this is all part of personal preference, so you do what you want. And after that's done, I then merge that one with this layer. And again, I'm still keeping the highlights up there until I'm done coloring the whole thing, because if I don't, it'll look really weird. And then next, I'm going to take a similar pink that I used for the darker colors, and I'm going to take a lighter color, not a light color, a lighter pencil, and I'm going to just add more of these. And then on top, we're going to add the light ones. And I usually do the overlay function for this one. And I take what I have here, and I just dull it quite a lot. And I blur it out. So far this hair is looking okay, so we're going to take our overlay and we're going to put that one on the layer below. Now here I'm going to take a darker pink, and I'm going to take a blurry brush, and I'm going to just add some dark color here. And then with the similar blending brush, I'm going to do some of the curled motions like this, or the swirly motions that I'm doing, that I did to blend out the other pieces of light and dark that I added. And we're just going to do that, and then add a multiply layer over top, and we're just going to dull that quite a bit. After we do that, we're going to take a light pink, and we're going to add, with the same blurry brush, we're going to put some lighter color here. Now, when I do things for straight hair, I do it a little bit differently because the shape is different, and so, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to put that on the clip-in mask, and we're going to add a layer mode on top and dull that until we're happy with it. And once we are happy with that, we just merge these with our layer below. Now, how I usually add the last finishing touches are I take a small brush and I add some swirlies, but this time we're not going to blend them in. We're just going to keep them as is, and the layer mode that we like, and dull them so that we have this nice little texture. And we merge those with the layer below, and we do the same with our darker color. We'll add the layer mode that we like. I usually use multiply. It is my favorite layer function because it's just nice and makes a good shadow color. So we're going to dull that one too. And we're going to merge it with the layer below. Now that everything's done, we can merge our highlights, but if you're not happy with them, you can, of course, go over top with a bit of a darker color and add more highlights. And after you're done with that and you're happy, if you have the smudge tool in your program, you can take that and move the highlights around until you like the look. Add a clipping group and merge with the layer below again. And once that's finished, you can take your highlights and merge those down too. And what I do for this one is I usually take the smudge tool and I just kind of push and pull as I like to get the texture that I like with the hair. It makes it look a little bit more poofy, if that makes any sense. You could take a small brush too and do some little details here to get the kind of poofiness that you like. And I'm pretty happy with how that piece of hair looks, so we're going to move on and do the straight hair, because with this one I do it a lot quicker and there's I usually do it in a much different way. So we're going to start out how we did with the other one. We're going to add our darker color here. We're going to add our clipping mask, and we're going to blur it out. When I say blur, I usually mean blend, so just take it as a blend. And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to be dulled quite a bit. Try to blend it out as best as you can though, because we still want it to look nice. So we have our dark color here, and we merge that with the layer below again. And this is very basic stuff, so if you don't want me to tell you how to do it, don't listen. And after that is done, I take the dark color and start adding many lines back and forth to give it the appearance of hair. And because this is straight hair, this is how I like it to look. And so we take our multiply again and dull that quite a bit. And you would put at the opacity that you're happy with. And then you merge that with the layer that you have. And you don't have to merge layers at all if you don't feel like it. I just happen to like doing it. And I'm sorry if I don't sound very energetic. I'm really tired right now. And then we go on with our lighter color and we do the exact same thing we did with our darker one. Then we choose the layer function that we want. We dull that one too. And that clipping group, and merge them. Because I did straight hair and very poofy and curly, this is basically how I did this hair, so I would know a little bit better. And instead of doing the swirl motion we did before, we're going to just do up and down. Oh, go ahead again, it's very repetitive. You add your clipping mask and your multiply layer and at the opacity and what you're happy with. After that, I add my highlights, which I usually do one line like this and then another. And then I take my normal blending tool that I use for all this, and we blend it. I think in Paint Tool Sai, if you use Sai, there is an oil brush which does a similar effect to this, so I think the oil brush would work okay with this. We add our clipping group and we add the layer function that we are happy with. And if you do have this smudge tool, you can fix up the hair if you'd like. Yep, this is very repetitive. It's going to be very different for the poofy hair, so if you want to watch that one, I'll tell you that one too. And of course, we're going to dull this one quite a bit, because after that we're going to add a better one over top. one's going to be a bit more diverse and blended, so I'm going to just blend the whole thing. And then, of course, after that we're going to add the blending layer that we want. And we're going to fix it up with our fingertip tool, which is the smudge tool on Photoshop. So if you have something like this, you can use it to your advantage. We add a clipping group, and then we merge both of those to the layer below. Now, when making hair, you definitely want a light source, because if you don't have one, you won't be able to tell where the shadows go and where the highlights go, and the hair will look like a mess. Again, when I'm starting our hair like this, I add the shadows opposite the light source, and I blend that in. I usually add the layer mode after, just so I can see what I'm doing better with the normal color. And yeah, basically it's just really repetitive, as I said before. You add your layer function that you like, and you dull your shading a bit. And like I said, this one's going to be a bit different, and it's probably going to take a bit more time than the curly hair. But I'm just trying to help here, so bear with me for a minute. And because we already have our darker color, we are going to start adding our hair. Now, because I haven't done very poofy hair yet, this is completely experimental so far, and you guys can tell me things that I might want to do differently, but so far this is what I'm going to do. You can add a bunch of curly lines, like this, maybe even lapse them through each other. And they don't all have to be in the same like position and stuff. Try to make them a bit more diverse. Yeah. Like I said, I'm experimenting with this hair, so it might not turn out well, but hey, we're here to have fun. Even though this is probably one of the most boring things you could be watching right now. You could like be watching really funny YouTube videos and stuff instead of this. Like, man. The stream is very behind, so you're probably not even hearing me right now. But yeah, whatever. It'll get to it eventually, so. I'm gonna blur these out like I did the other ones. But yeah, poofy hair like this is like really, really difficult to get, and I'm not an expert on it. So I'm just gonna experiment and see if I'm happy with it. Also, just to note, you don't have to do this for just mindless. You could literally add lines and shade like this if you want to make a bit more of a realistic look to it. But this is all personal preference, and you can do whatever you want with your hair. I'm just telling you how I did it. I'm not telling you that this is this is the way. No, guys, this is the way. This is the perfect way. That's a joke. Also, if it's lagging for you, that's my fault. I have literally no idea how to stream. Don't question me. Also, my mic might be a little bit too close to my face, but I can't tell. whatever. We're gonna add our layer function, and we're gonna do that one, and we're gonna add that now. Yeah. If you guys like really want to learn on your own, like if you want to be self-taught when it comes to making art, like go for it. Like don't be afraid to like just kind of learn on your own by like testing out things and what you already know. And like after time, like if looking at references and stuff, that's like you're still self-taught because you taught yourself like how to do all this stuff. And I myself think I'm self-taught because I've never went to like any schools or looked up any videos about like how to draw. I kind of just learned myself. And so far, I think I've done a pretty good job with getting kind of style that I want. So, like, I'm just saying, if you draw and you're not happy with your style, don't give up on your art yet just because you're not happy with it. Like, you'll eventually get there. It just takes time. And, like, I see tons of people just, like, saying that they can't do it, and I don't like hearing that crap because it's just, you can do it. You gotta try. Anyway, we're getting off track there, so I'm just gonna tell you what I just did. I took a nice, like, textured brush. It's kind of like a flat brush, and I added all these nice little floofies, if you want to call them that, and I'm gonna take a random blending brush. It can be any brush you want this time, it doesn't matter, but I'm gonna stick with the brush that I'm using. And we're gonna just blur those out. Sorry, not blurring. I always mean blend, but I never say it like that. And we add multiply. And we're gonna take this and merge it down. It doesn't look perfect yet, and that's because we haven't added the light colors yet. So let's get on with that and add our light colored pieces. Now, whenever I do things like this, that look like I'm like adding random squiggles, it's to add texture to the hair. And it might not look like it at first when you take a first glance, but like once you realize, once it's blended out, you can see like it's a texture, and it adds a really nice look. And that's why I do it. And it's literally I like just was testing out stuff on the picture, and this is what I decided I was gonna do. Yes, I think that this might be uploaded to my YouTube after it's done, and if there's more than one, I probably will delete one of them. But yeah, after I'm done adding more of these light squiggles, I'm going to add the light function I like, and blend them out. I was going to say blur again. Oh my god. Now, when I'm going to add the highlights after this, and the shadows, you're going to realize something with what I'm going to do with the hair. Because I'm not going to add the normal highlights and stuff. There's going to be multiple. Because hair like this is complex compared to straight hair or curly. Not quite sure how long it's been, but whatever. Blur these out, and if some places look like they need more, you can add or remove ones. But yeah, this is definitely not my favorite, but of course you can do things differently and improve greatly compared to what I'm doing here. Anyways, I'm going to start adding the highlights now because it's time for highlights. The highlight of my life. Yeah, this is not too different, but it's definitely not the same as what I'm doing. And once we take these and we blend them, we're going to add the layer function that you like. And yeah, this is probably going to work in most programs except for MS Paint, because MS Paint's not really a good program for drawing like professional art. I mean, you could probably do this in Photoshop if you really tried. And then this extra piece of hair, I'm showing you another way to shade hair, but we're gonna focus on this one so far. But for now, gotta focus. Gotta focus. Oh god, no, that's not the right one. Being awfully quiet while I add the shadows and highlights. The other way I'm going to show you might be a bit more of your, like, of other people's style. So, yeah. Right now, we're gonna add a function. I'm probably going to do overlay for this one. And yeah, that doesn't look perfect, but you can definitely try other things and make it look a little bit nicer than what I've got going on. Right now, I'm going to fix this piece of hair right here. Oops. This is another way you can do things for lineless, and so let me take this piece of hair and actually put it on a different layer. Because I kind of want to show this one on a different layer. But yeah, if you like really don't like shading with colors, you can shade with gray, and I happen to not like shading with gray, but I'll do it sometimes if I'm feeling pretty bored. Oh god, my thing froze. Oh my goodness. Clipping mask, and we'll take color burn, which is the best option that there is. And yeah, I'm not gonna do that, of course, but I'm just showing. And for this one, of course, I'm gonna use my pink again because I like this pink station good colors. And we're just going to add the colors that we need over top, and we're going to add our clipping mask and our multiply function. Now for this one, I'm going to follow the same lighting technique, except it's not going to come from the top like it is over there. But and so I'll take a blurry eraser or a softer eraser just to add the texture. And we'll start adding like erasing quote-unquote strands of hair. And it might not look like I'm doing that right now, but it'll all be clear in a minute. I'm probably repeating myself quite a bit, but honestly, I don't remember what I've said so far. See, this is where we add all of our strands of hair. And usually I will stop them at each corner and end of hair so that I have room for shading. So let's do this. This is usually what I do. I take a softer brush and I add this over top and then add more hair. It depends on the size of the hair really, but it won't always work, so just test out what you think may work. And after that is done, I will take my blending brush again. Again, I'm not using the blurry one, and my scope is going crazy. I will quit Skype for now. And I'll blend up and down like this. And don't worry about the imperfections, because those won't be noticed really if you make the layer have less opacity. But yeah, I will usually blend all the way through and then through the tip of the hair strand, quote unquote. I usually do this because there might be some like missing colors or like bumps in the middle of the line like this. So blending through might help get rid of those. Hello, Blood, you're just in time for the almost finished hair tutorial thing that I'm making, because people in Discord are going to see how I did it. So, oh god, I'm tired. Yeah, but after I do this, sometimes I might take the blurry blending over here, and I might just blur them right there. I usually won't do the blurry one because I hardly use the blur brush anymore. I usually use the blending, but yeah. No, like if you want to do this, you don't have to download the exact like program that I'm using. You can do it with quite a few programs if you try. But yeah, after that we turn down the opacity. Then we add another layer, and we add some shading. I will usually do this with a soft brush. And I will follow my light source as best as possible. Even I'm lagging from this, but yeah. And for this one, because this is a different version of blending and making hair, I am going to use my blur. Oh god, that's very laggy. And I'm going to blend. Blendy, 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 wendy. Bleh. Oh god, what happened? Yeah, but I'm sorry that it's really laggy, guys. I can't really fix that right now. Our clipping and our multiply